The fire hasn't started yet, but the silence already knows what's coming. You are standing at the edge of a fjord. The water is still, not from lack of wind, but because even the wind is waiting. The surface reflects the sky, but it does not shimmer. It holds the pale blue of early twilight like a memory frozen in place. Somewhere behind you, the forest breeze, tall pines, dark and straight, hold the last whispers of the sun between their branches. The cold is not cruel. It brushes your skin like the hand of someone who's been waiting a long time to say goodbye. You do not speak. No one does. Not far from you, a ship rests. Not moored, not tied, not ready to sail. It simply is. Long and narrow, with a serpent carved into its prow, now worn and dulled by years of wind and salt. The bow curves toward the sky like a question left unanswered. You step forward, and your boots crunch faintly on frost-covered stone. The village behind you is quiet. Low wooden homes with sod roofs, their chimneys giving off thin trails of smoke. There is no laughter, no dogs barking, no doors opening. This is not a day for noise. Someone has died. But this story isn't about death. It's about what happens next. You've never seen a Viking funeral, not really? You've heard stories, fire, ship, glory, but those are loud stories. This one isn't. This one is soft. This one walks beside you like a shadow, not to frighten, but to remind. You will walk through pine and frost. You will see the long house where no one sings. You will carry a comb, a cloak, a carved bowl. Not because they are valuable, but because you touched them. Because they meant something. Once. You will meet the smith, whose hands are black with soot and silence. The singer, who won't raise her voice, not until dusk. The old woman, who will place a feather on the deck and say nothing at all. There will be no speeches, no eulogies, only firelight, and breath, and the gentle sound of boots on frozen earth. And you will help. You don't know this yet, but your hands will lift the body. You will feel the weight of it, not heavy, not light, just final, like the last page of a story you didn't know you'd been reading. You will feel the ship take it, like it was always meant to, and you will watch, as the first torch is lit, as the smoke begins to rise. Not fast, not high, just slowly, as if it has all the time in the world. You will hear someone say his name, quietly, once, then again, and again, until it fills the air, not like shouting, but like breath. And then, when the flames are high, and the ship begins to glow from within, you will not feel sadness. You will feel silence, not the silence of absence, but the silence of completion. This story is not about what was lost, it's about what was given. So take a breath. Slow. Let your body settle. You don't have to understand everything. You don't have to remember names, or dates, or battles. You are not here to learn. You are here to witness, and as the fire grows, you'll know what it means to let go without rushing, to remember without pain, to honor without words. Because the ship will carry him. Yes. But it will also carry you. It will carry all of us. And when it's done, when the smoke becomes stars, you will not be empty. You will be still. So let us begin. We'll walk together out slowly, through the forest, past the whispering pines, along the edge of the waiting water. And we will see how they say goodbye, the night they set his ship on fire. Section 1. You wake by the fjord. You wake to the sound of water. Not crashing, not roaring, just a soft, repetitive lapping, as if the fjord is breathing beneath the sky. The air is cold, but not sharp. It brushes against your face like a wool blanket that has been left outside too long. You blink slowly. Your eyes adjust to the blue-gray half-light above you. The sky is smeared with early dawn, that delicate space where night hasn't fully gone, and morning hasn't quite arrived. You are lying on something solid. The surface beneath you is wooden, maybe damp, maybe old. There's a thin layer of moss beneath your back, a smell of earth and pine. As you sit up, your cloak slides from your shoulder. It's thick, woven, scratchy at the edges, the kind that smells faintly of smoke and salt. Your breath fogs in front of you. You look around, the landscape is still. To your right, the water, the fjord stretches far and narrow, like a ribbon of glass between mountains. It reflects the sky, pale silver now, and on its surface, mist curls in lazy spirals. Nothing moves across it, no boats, no birds, just silence and water, and the slow bloom of dawn. Behind you, forest, tall pines, their trunks straight and dark, their tips catching the earliest hints of light. The wind moves through them like a whisper, soft, steady, almost rhythmic. Somewhere far within the woods, a raven calls, a low, drawn-out note. Not a cry, a reminder. You rise slowly, your legs are stiff, your hands ache slightly, the dull soreness of someone who slept in clothes not meant for sleep. You brush yourself off. Your boots leave faint impressions in the frost-covered grass. Each step feels deliberate, as if the land beneath you is sacred. You begin to walk along a narrow path hugging the edge of the fjord. The stones are slick, round, worn by centuries of feet. The way is quiet, broken only by the occasional crack of ice giving way beneath a puddle, or the distant bark of a dog in the village you can just make out ahead. The village, you hadn't noticed it before. Low wooden homes, some with sod roofs, sit nestled against the base of a gentle hill. Smoke rises from 3 of them, thin trails, ghost-like in the morning air. There's no movement, no carts, no horses, just the stillness of early morning, or perhaps something else, and then you see it, the ship. It rests on the shore, half in the water, half out. Long and narrow, carved, blackened with time, its bow curves skyward, a serpent's neck poised to strike, or to sing. It is not moored. It is not ready to sail. It is waiting. Beside it stands a man, wrapped in furs, tall and still. His hands are clasped in front of him. He does not look at you, though he knows you're there. His gaze is fixed on the ship, or perhaps on the space just beyond it. You step closer. Your boots crunch softly over the gravel and frost. He is gone, the man says. His voice is low. Not sad, not broken, just quiet, a fact spoken aloud so that the world might know. You don't ask who. You feel it, like the weight in the air, like the way the birds are not singing. The man turns his head slightly, just enough to meet your eyes. Tonight, he says. We send him off. Then he walks away, slow, deliberate, leaving you alone with the ship. You move toward it, run your fingers along the side. The wood is smooth from years of weather, of salt, of sun. You feel a small notch beneath your hand, a carved symbol worn almost to nothing. Maybe a rune, maybe a memory. You kneel by the ship's edge. Your hand rests on the hull. The cold wood hums faintly beneath your fingers, as if the ship is holding its breath. You lean forward slightly, listening. To the rustling trees, to the lapping water, to the distant creak of timbers in the village houses. And then, a moment of stillness so deep it feels almost alive. No one speaks your name. No one needs to. You are part of this now. Whatever this is, you sit there a little longer. Not thinking, not remembering, just breathing. Somewhere beyond the ridge, the sun begins its slow climb. A single line of gold touches the highest branches. And the day, long, quiet, sacred, begins. Section 2. They whisper, he has died. You follow the path into the village, each step quiet, deliberate, as though the land itself is mourning. The frost beneath your boots crunches faintly, then disappears into the hush that blankets this place. No bells toll. No one cries aloud. And yet, you feel it, in the stillness, in the way no door creaks, in how the dogs lie silent and the chickens do not cluck. He has died. Not everyone says it, but they all know. A woman steps out of her house with a wooden bowl in hand. She pauses, sees you, and nods, not in greeting, not in recognition. Just a simple, weighty nod. One that says, "Yes, I know, we all do." Two boys are stacking wood beside a house with smoke curling from its roof. One breaks a log in half, and they both pause, looking toward the fjord as if they can already see the flames to come. Farther down the path, an old man sharpens a blade. The sound of stone against metal cuts the silence. Slow, even strokes. He doesn't look up. He doesn't need to. The rhythm of his task is as somber as any song. You pass the well. There is no line today, just a bucket, left half full, the rope damp with morning dew. A little girl walks beside her mother, clutching a bundle of herbs, sweet-smelling ones, soft and silvery. She looks up at you with wide eyes, not afraid, just watching. In this village, death is not a stranger. It does not knock loudly or barge in. It comes like fog, quiet, persistent, touching every roof, every step, every glance. You hear a soft humming. It's coming from one of the homes, low, almost inaudible. A woman's voice, perhaps, a tune without words, repeating the same few notes again and again, like the wind trying to remember a lullaby. You stop outside a long house near the center of the village. The door is open just enough to let smoke and shadow spill into the yard. You can see figures inside, moving slowly. They are preparing him. You don't go in, not yet. You sit on a nearby bench, the wood cold beneath you, and you watch as life continues, gently, reverently. A boy leads two goats past, guiding them with soft whistles. One of the goats pauses to nibble the frost-covered grass. The boy waits patiently, stroking its neck. Farther down the slope, a woman stirs something over a fire. The steam rising from her pot smells like onions and bone broth. She doesn't taste it, just stirs, slow circles, one hand holding her shawl closed. The world is not frozen, it breathes, moves, but gently, like walking across ice that might crack if pressed too hard. A whisper carries on the wind, two old men speaking just outside a shed. One leans on a stick, the other holds a small knife in his hands. They aren't talking about the weather. They're remembering. You catch phrases. Before he built the second dock. Never could beat him at stones. His laugh was like. And then silence again. Not everything must be said. Not today. You rise and walk again. Toward the edge of the fjord where the ship waits. It hasn't moved, but it feels different now. Heavier, somehow, as if it already carries a weight no one can see. You place your hand on the wooden hull once more. It's colder now, or maybe your fingers are warmer. A voice behind you says, "They've begun dressing him." You turn. It's the man from earlier, still wrapped in furs, still solemn, but now there is something softer in his eyes. Not sadness, not relief, something like completion. He nods toward the long house. Go. He would want you to see him. You hesitate. Then you go. The ground crunches underfoot. The wind brushes against your neck. And as you step toward the door, you realize you are not a guest here. You are part of the farewell, and the fire has not yet begun. Section 3. The body is prepared. The inside of the long house is dark and warm. Not warm like fire, warm like breath, soft, slow, human. The heat of hands moving, feet shifting, voices too low to echo. Smoke curls lazily near the rafters, rising from a small hearth tucked near the wall. The coals glow but do not flame. They do not need to. You step inside, and the scent reaches you first. Pine resin, iron, wet wool, earth. Beneath it all, a faint trace of something else, something older. Not unpleasant, but grounding, like stone after rain. The space is still, though people move within it. 3 women, 1 young man, and at the center of the body. He lies on a raised board, shaped from a single piece of driftwood. His limbs have been arranged carefully, arms crossed over his chest, palms open, eyes closed, mouth relaxed. He does not look asleep. He looks like someone who knew the moment would come, and met it head-on. A woman washes his hands with a cloth dipped in warm water. Her motions are rhythmic, respectful. She murmurs under her breath, not words you can catch, but you feel the rhythm of blessing in them. Her sleeves are rolled to her elbows, and her skin is blotched with red from the chill. Another woman braids his hair. It's thick, still touched with streaks of blonde, though the gray dominates now. She parts it with her fingers, threads it gently, as though she's done this 1,000 times before. The young man kneels near the feet, polishing the leather soles of worn boots. He holds them steady, his face intent, jaw set like stone. He does not cry, but you can see the effort it takes not to. The third woman adjusts the woolen tunic folded beside the body. It is dark blue, the kind reserved for travel or feast days. She runs her palm over the cloth to smooth it. Her thumb lingers on the edge, where a small tear has been mended. No one speaks, not directly. Only the soft exchange of glances, the brush of shoulder against shoulder, the passing of a comb, the lifting of a cloak. You are handed a small pot of salve. The woman who gives it to you meets your eyes. For the hands, she says simply. You kneel and gently rub it into the cold skin of the man's fingers. They are calloused, broad. These were hands that lifted timber, swung swords, held children. Now they rest. A curved knife is placed at his hip, a drinking horn by his elbow, a ring of bone, carved with runes, set beside his heart. Offerings, reminders, tools for the voyage. Someone lays sprigs of dried herbs along the edges of the board, juniper, yarrow, and a twist of birch bark. Their scent lifts slowly in the air, mixing with the smoke. The final touch is a bearskin cloak. It is thick, worn, heavy with years. You help lift it. Together, you place it over him, from shoulders to boots, tucking it around his body like a final embrace. The woman who braided his hair steps back and exhales. The room holds stillness, the kind that doesn't come from quiet, but from reverence. Outside, someone knocks gently on the frame. The door opens just enough to reveal a child, standing with a bundle of twine in her hands. The woman at the hearth accepts it with a nod. She turns and begins to tie the offerings in place. Gentle knots, nothing too tight. The young man steps away and sits near the wall. He presses his hands together, fingers trembling slightly. You sit beside him. He doesn't speak. But when your shoulder touches his, he leans into it for just a moment. This is not a goodbye. Not yet. This is preparation. This is love, folded into wool and twine and herb. This is how the dead are honored, not with noise, but with hands. When it is done, someone speaks, softly, almost a whisper. He is ready, and the door is opened again, this time to let in the day. Light spills across the floor, catching in the fine dust that hangs in the air. The longhouse breathes, and you breathe with it. Section 4. The Blacksmith's Quiet Work. The blacksmith's forge sits at the edge of the village, just before the trees take over. It is not a large structure, more of a lean-to with a wide opening at the front, where the smoke can escape and the light can pour in. The roof is low, the stones are dark with age. The ground beneath is packed hard by years of footsteps and ash. You hear the sound before you see it, not the ringing hammer most expect, but something slower, quieter, the rasp of metal drawn across a whetstone, a whisper of steel being made ready. Inside, the blacksmith is alone. He is not tall, not wide, not covered in soot or roaring with flame. Instead, he moves with the kind of focus that silences even the air around him. His beard is streaked with white, and a burn scar traces the side of his neck like a line of old poetry. On the bench beside him lies a sword. Not new, not gleaming, worn smooth by hands that knew it well. Its handle is wrapped in faded leather, its edge dull in places. The blade carries the marks of use, not ceremony. This was not a sword for show. The blacksmith dips a cloth into oil and wipes the blade gently. You stand at the entrance. You do not speak. You watch. He works as though this is not the first time. And it isn't. This is not a task. It is a rite. He lifts the sword, holds it up to the morning light. examines it, tilts it, then brings it down again and begins to sharpen. One stroke, then another, back and forth. The same way you might rock a cradle. You step closer. The heat from the coals is faint now, but still enough to warm your knees. The air smells of iron, sweat, and wood smoke, thick and familiar. On a shelf behind him rest other tools. A spearhead, a broken axe, a pair of iron tongs. But none of these matter today. Only this blade. The blacksmith sets it down. He reaches into a wooden box and removes a small stone, smooth, river-worn. He begins to polish the hilt. You knew him. You ask. He nods. Once. I gave him this blade. Long ago. You don't press. He doesn't elaborate. Some memories are too old to explain. Some don't need to be spoken aloud. He wraps the blade in linen, ties it with a strip of hide, then places it inside a long cloth bag. It is not flashy. It is not gilded. It is ready. A younger man enters. Someone you saw earlier carrying firewood. He bows his head and accepts the package. His hands tremble slightly, as though what he holds is not just a weapon, but a story. After he leaves, the blacksmith finally looks at you. His eyes are the color of river stones. He carried that sword for 30 winters, he says. Then, after a pause, and never once used it in anger, he turns back to the bench, begins wiping down his tools. Not hurried, not slow, just as before. You watch him coil the leather strip, return the cloth to the shelf, close the oil jar. Every motion is deliberate, part of a dance he's done 100 times. When he is finished, he sits, not with exhaustion, but with finality. From the corner of the forge, he picks up a small carved figure, a horse, worn smooth from years of handling. He turns it in his hands, then places it in a pouch. For the boat, he murmurs. You nod. He does not ask if you will carry it. He simply places it in your hand. It is warm. You leave the forge. Step back into the morning light, and the wind carries the scent of pine again. The village breeze, and the ship waits. Section 5. The Gathering at Dusk. The sun dips lower, casting long, amber shadows across the village. The air shifts, no longer crisp, but cool in that way that hints of evening fires and wool blankets. From the higher ridge, you watch as people begin to move, not quickly, not all at once, but like ripples from a single stone dropped into still water. Someone walks to the fjord with a bundle of kindling. Another carries a stool, weathered and low. Children follow, not running, but drawn, as if they to understand that what is coming is not a show, but something sacred. You descend with them. At the shoreline, the ship waits, unchanged, yet somehow more solemn now, like a sentinel preparing to speak. The boat has been lined with dry spruce branches. At the center, the board where the body will rest is ready. Lanterns hang from poles stuck deep into the earth, their flames not yet lit, but swing gently in the rising breeze. You find a place among the gathering. Someone offers you a small cup. Inside, mead, faintly sweet, barely warm. You sip slowly. The taste earthy, floral, and grounding. Voices murmur, not loudly. Stories, perhaps, memories, fragments pass between old friends, laughter that never rises to high, silence that says as much as any word. An old woman kneels at the boat's bow. She places something beneath the wood, a small bundle wrapped in fur. You don't ask what it is. Not all offerings are meant to be named. The sky darkens slowly. No rush. Just time, moving the way it always does when people are waiting for the right moment. Someone begins to light the lanterns. One by one, the soft glow blooms, reflecting on the water, catching the edges of wool cloaks and the glint of metal clasps. A circle forms, unspoken. No one tells anyone where to stand. Yet everyone seems to know. Children huddle near parents. Lovers stand shoulder to shoulder. A boy leans against his grandmother, and she smooths his hair absent-mindedly. This is not grief as you've seen it before. This is community. This is ceremony. A man steps forward, the one who spoke to you by the ship this morning. He carries nothing in his hands, but his presence is full. When he speaks, his voice is steady, deep, quiet, unhurried. He lived, that is all he says, and it is enough. A pause. Then a woman hums, low, the same melody you heard earlier in the long house. It rises like smoke, coils like mist, wraps around the listeners like fur. Others join, not in harmony, not rehearsed, but true. You close your eyes. The ground beneath you is cold but solid. The scent of spruce, salt, and smoke fills the air. You breathe in, you let go. The sun kisses the edge of the sea, and the night begins to open its hands. Section 6. You sit among the mourners. You sit on a low bench, rough-hewn and damp with evening dew. Around you, others settle into the grass, onto furs, on flat stones. There are no chairs here, no thrones or platforms. Everyone is equal when the fire is near. The flames have not yet been lit, but the scent of pine resin and kindling is in the air. You can smell the promise of it, the waiting spark. Next to you, an old man coughs softly into his sleeve. His breath clouds the air. He wears a thick wool cloak, threadbare at the edges, fastened with a bone pin in the shape of a fish. You don't speak, but he nods once, as if to say, "Yes, it's cold, but we endure." Further down the circle, two young women lean shoulder to shoulder. One braids the other's hair, fingers moving slowly, gently. Beside them, a child rests with her head in her mother's lap, eyes wide but calm. She clutches a carved toy in her hand, a bear, smoothed by years of love. The circle expands slowly. You realize now, no one is watching. Everyone is remembering. The man who is gone, you hear fragments of him in the murmurs. He gave me this knife, said it'd never leave my belt. Carved the beams of my roof by hand, still holding. Sang louder than the wind the night the fjord froze. The stories are not told all at once. They pass like smoke, light, drifting, unfinished. You sit still, your hands in your lap, your shoulders wrapped in fur. You feel the warmth of others. Though no one touches you, this is a different kind of closeness, the kind forged by shared stillness, not noise. Someone hands you a piece of bread, dark rye, dense, wrapped in cloth. You take it, nod in thanks. It is dry, but good, the kind that lasts through travel, through winter. You chew slowly, it grounds you. A low drum begins to beat. Not loudly, just one note at a time, space like footsteps. Boom, boom, then pause, then again. You feel it more than hear it. In your chest, in your teeth, an old woman begins to hum. Then sing. Her voice is cracked, worn thin by time, but it carries. Not high, not low, just steady. You don't know the words. You don't need to. The song is a thread. And all around you, people pick it up, some with voices, some just by closing their eyes and swaying slightly. The night is deep now. The sky above, thick with stars, silent watchers to what is happening below. You close your eyes. For a moment, you are not in a village. Not beside a ship. Not even in your body. You are somewhere else, in the flow of time, in the space between heartbeat and silence. When you open your eyes, the torches have been lit, the ship glows golden. The air smells of cedar and memory, and the night waits, holding its breath with the rest of you. Section 7. Her song begins. It starts with just a breath. You almost don't notice at first. The sound blends so seamlessly with the wind, the crackle of firewood, the slow shifting of cloaks. But then it rises, a single note, held longer than speech, trembled slightly at the edges. The voice belongs to the old woman who had been silent all evening. You saw her earlier, arranging branches by the ship's bow. Now she stands, wrapped in layers of gray wool, hair like fog spilling down her back. She doesn't raise her arms. She doesn't ask for attention. She just sings, a low chant, syllables drawn from something older than memory. Not in the tongue of everyday talk, older. The first word hums against your ribs. The second settles behind your eyes. By the third, your breath slows, the fire responds, its flames shift, almost swaying. The wind pauses, even the children are still. Others join in. Not many, not all, but a handful of voices, men and women, rise like reeds around a river bank. Not loud, just enough to hold the melody in place, like hands cradling a bowl of water. The song is not about him, not directly. It is not a eulogy, it is a map. It speaks of ice, of stone, of roots deep in the earth, of stars that do not move, of rivers that remember every footstep beside them. It does not tell you where the dead go. It tells you how the living stay. You feel something behind your eyes, not tears, something heavier, something like weight leaving. The old woman's voice grows thinner. But it does not break. You glance around the circle. Some have closed their eyes. Some have lifted their chins slightly. One man grips a wooden amulet at his chest, rocking gently with the rhythm. The ship glows golden orange now. Every knot, every plank etched in flickering firelight. The carved prow seems to lean forward, listening. As the song nears its end, the last lines are whispered. A breath, a hush, a pulse, then silence. The kind of silence that doesn't ask to be filled. The kind that holds you. The woman lowers her head. No one claps. No one speaks. But something has shifted. The air has changed. The ship seems more ready, and your heart, though still heavy, has settled. The fire crackles again. Someone exhales. And the night continues. Section 8. Carving the Ship. In the early light of the next morning, even before the sun clears the treetops, a few villagers rise and return to the water's edge. You follow them, drawn by the steady rhythm of blades against wood. The ship, still resting at the shoreline, is being carved. Not built, not shaped, but blessed, by hand and tool, with care. 3 men and 1 woman move around it slowly, scraping moss from the planks, rubbing the wood down with oil made from pine resin and ash. Each stroke is firm, patient, almost like combing the hair of the dead. You are handed a cloth. No one explains. No one needs to. You kneel beside the hole and begin to wipe the dark wood in long, quiet motions. Your hand follows the grain, feels the tiny cracks and splinters worn from years of salt and wind. Someone nearby is carving. A small chisel taps lightly against the prow. Once, twice, again. The sound is gentle, like rain on bone. You glance over. The carver is an old man, thin, bare-handed despite the cold. His fingers are steady. His eyes narrowed with focus. He does not sketch. He does not speak. He simply works. Line by line, a symbol appears, not a name, not an image. Something more abstract, a knotwork curve, a spiral turning back on itself, to help guide him. Someone whispers behind you, so he doesn't lose his way in the fog. You nod, though you're not sure who you're nodding to. You run your fingers across the freshly scrubbed side of the hull. The wood is warm now, alive with touch. Others bring objects to the ship. A small pouch of grain, tied with leather cord. A knife, worn smooth at the handle. A wool cap, patched and folded. None of it is grand. All of it is honest. One child lays a stone onto the deck. Just a stone, flat and round, dark with age. He places it near the foot of where the body will lie, then steps back, his hands behind his back. No one questions it. Every gift, even the smallest, has weight. You pause and look up. The ship's prow catches the light now. The carved serpent's head is clean and polished. It seems to watch the horizon. The boat is old. It has sailed real journeys, crossed open waters. Now. It prepares for one more, a final voyage through flame and wind and memory. The work continues. Someone oils the oarlocks. Someone checks the seams for tar. Someone lays sheepskin across the central board. You sit for a moment, cloth still in hand. Your reflection shimmers in the water beside the hull. For just a moment, it looks like 2 ships, one in the world, one in the beyond. When the last chisel is set down, the last cloth folded, the last breath blown warm against the wood, a silence settles. It is not the silence of waiting, it is the silence of readiness. The ship is not just a vessel now, it is a promise, and soon, it will burn. Section 9. Gifts for the journey. By mid-morning, the sky has cleared. The mist that clung to the fjord has lifted, and the air is sharp with light. The village moves softly now, not quiet from sorrow, but from reverence. Preparations shift from hands to hearts. The body has been brought to the shore. It lies under a simple shroud near the water, beside the ship that will carry it. Not alone, never alone. Beside him, 2 men sitting with bowed heads, and a woman weaving a cord from red and white thread. Now, the villagers bring gifts. Not loud, not ceremonial, just one at a time. A man lays a worn wooden bowl inside the ship, the kind used for stew, etched with faint symbols along the rim. A young girl places a comb wrapped in a strip of linen. It is carved from antler, with 1 tooth missing. Her eyes are dry, but her hands linger on the edge of the deck before she steps back. A woman carries a heavy wool tunic, neatly folded. She tucks it near where the shoulders will rest, smoothing it flat with both palms. You are handed something, a small pouch. Inside, dried apples, carefully sliced, their edges curled. You carry it up the ramp and lay it by the shield resting near the stern. You feel no need to speak. No one does. The air is too full. A boy brings a fish hook, another, a braid of garlic. One elder lays down a flat river stone, and beside it, places a single feather. Long, dark, maybe from a raven. The items accumulate, quiet, ordinary, powerful, not riches, not gold. Things with meaning, things that mattered in life. You see someone lay a pair of wool socks, mended carefully at the heel. Someone else ties a tiny bell to the carved prow. Another presses a small book, no title, into the folds of the cloak. There is no order, there is no list. Each offering carries its own weight, its own memory, its own love. The old woman who sang last night steps forward. She carries nothing. But she touches the side of the ship and whispers something into the wood. You do not hear the words. You do not need to. The man who carved the hole earlier brings forward the sword, wrapped in cloth, tied with leather. He lays it gently near the chest. You recognize it. The one from the blacksmith's forge. The ship creaks faintly. A breeze shifts through the pine trees. The water laps, soft and steady. When no more gifts come, a silence gathers. The kind that says, "This is enough." You step back, joining the others. From a distance, the ship no longer looks like wood and rope and cloth. It looks like memory, a vessel not of boards, but of stories. Of food shared, and roads walked, and hands held. A vessel built not just to burn, but to carry everything that made a man who he was. The sun hangs high now. The time is near, but not yet. First, they will eat. Then, they will light the flame. Section 10. Children watch in silence. They sit in a small cluster near the edge of the gathering, close enough to see, far enough not to disturb. 6 children, maybe 7, wrapped in cloaks too large for their shoulders, legs crossed on the flattened grass, hands in their laps or twined in one another's sleeves. They don't speak. They don't fidget. Something in their stillness feels different than that of the adults. Not grief, not reverence, wonder. They are watching a story they do not yet understand, but know is important. A boy, perhaps 8, leans forward, chin on knees, eyes fixed on the ship. A girl beside him touches the hem of her cloak again and again, not nervously, just rhythmically. You notice how their eyes trace everything. The way the gifts were placed, the way adults walk slower today, the way no one steps loudly or calls across the clearing. For them, this is not a ritual, this is a mystery. And mysteries, when witnessed in silence, root deeply. One child leans against a carved post, rubbing a mark in the wood with his thumb. Another holds a thin stick in both hands and doesn't move. You wonder what they'll remember. The flickering torches, the song that filled the dark, the woolen socks laid beside a shield, or maybe just the hush, the way the world seemed to lower its voice for one man's passing. An older girl, maybe 10 or 11, holds a small pouch in her lap. You didn't see her place anything on the ship, but she holds the pouch tightly, thumb brushing over its seams. She will remember this, all of them will, not with words, but in the tilt of their own silences later in life, in how they speak more softly near rivers, in how they pause before stepping into a doorway lit by firelight. Someone places a hand on your arm, a nod, it's time, but before you rise, you look once more at the children. Their faces are calm, their eyes are wide, and though no one has told them, they already know. This is not just about death, this is about remembering how to live. Section 11. You are asked to help. The moment is simple. A hand touches your elbow, steady, wordless. You turn, and it is the man from the forge, the same furrow-lined shoulders, the same quiet gravity. He says nothing, but his eyes glance toward the shrouded figure laid on the board. It is time, you nod. He doesn't smile. You don't speak. Together, you walk to the side of the ship, for others are already there. Men and women, young and old, all with that same slow breath in their chest, that same knowledge in their shoulders. The board is lifted not with grunts, not with strain, but with care, like drawing something from deep water, not to disturb what lies beneath. The weight is real, not heavy like stone, heavy like memory. Each step is counted, the path has been cleared of rocks. The boards beneath your feet creak faintly, familiar. A breeze brushes your cheek, cold, yes, but not unfriendly. You glance sideways. The woman opposite you is humming low. Not a tune you know, not a chant, just something to steady her hands. You walk as one, not fast, not slow. The pace of reverence. When you reach the ship, a man in a dark cloak steps forward and steadies the prow. Another places his hands flat on the edge. You do not lift higher, you slide forward. The board is drawn into the vessel's belly, inch by inch, and then he is inside. The sound of wood on wood, the shift of fabric, the stillness that follows. He lies among the gifts, the bare pelt tucked around him, the sword at his hip, the apples, the bowl, the wool. You step back, not quickly, just far enough. Someone lays a blanket across his chest. Someone else adjusts the position of the lantern hanging above the stern. No one gives orders. No one directs. Every motion now is instinct, not instruction. The ship groans once, a low sigh of timber and time, and then it stills. You stand in silence with the others, not as mourners, not as spectators, as witnesses. A few steps behind you, the children still sit. The villagers encircle the vessel, and in the very center, the man who has died is no longer apart from the living. He is carried by them, he is held, he is ready. You feel your heart beat in your throat, you let it slow. And somewhere in your chest, you say goodbye, not in words, in stillness. The flame has not yet been touched to kindling, but it is near. You can feel the breath of it, waiting. Section 12. The last meal shared. It begins not with feasting, but with bread. A woman tears pieces from a round loaf, dark and crusted, still warm from the fire. She passes them by hand, not in baskets, not on plates, just fingers, palm to palm. You take your portion and feel the rough edge, the heat within. The smell is familiar, rye, smoke, maybe a touch of juniper. You eat slowly. The bread is dense, earthy, satisfying. Nearby, a pot simmers over coals. The stew within smells of onions, barley, and dried herbs. No one hurries it. No one stirs more than needed. The cooking is not for nourishment, but remembrance. Mugs are passed next. Clay, rough-fired, some cracked, each filled with mead, golden, spiced, faintly sweet. One is handed to you. You sip. It warms you, not with heat, but with memory. People gather in small groups, seated on logs, firs, or flat rocks. They eat with quiet mouths and steady hands. There is no music, no toast, but there are stories. You hear them rise gently, small as sparks from a flame. He once walked 3 days in snow to bring back salt. Didn't complain, just said the moon was too bright. He taught me how to tie fish traps with my eyes closed. Said it would help me dream better. He carved a comb for my daughter. Still uses it, still catches her hair. Each story is shared like a piece of food, offered freely, not forced. Some speak, some only listen. One man sits alone, chewing slowly, eyes on the ship. His silence, too, is part of the meal. The stew is ladled into wooden bowls. You hold yours carefully, letting the steam rise. You eat, slowly. Every bite tastes of something larger than the ingredients. A woman laughs, softly, not at anything in particular, just the sound of remembering. A child curls beside her, sucking on a bit of bread. The food runs out before the stories do, but no one minds. A man breaks off the last crust of bread and places it on a stone by the water. For the spirit, he says. No one questions it. You feel full, not stuffed, not heavy. Full in the way fire fills a room without touching the walls. The light begins to shift again. The sun moves lower, the sky dims to blue ash. And one by one, people rise, brush crumbs from their laps, rinse hands in the stream. The meal has ended, not because it must, but because the flame is ready. You stand. The scent of stew still clings to your hands. The stories still echo in your chest. And as you turn toward the ship, its silent, waiting hull, you know, the next sound will be fire. Section 13. He lies on the deck. The light has thinned, not gone, not dark, but softer. Like the sun, too, has lowered its voice. The ship rests at the edge of the water, not floating, not grounded, somewhere in between. And on its deck, he lies. His body is still. Wrapped in cloak and fur, head cradled by a bundle of cloth, hands resting over his chest. Fingers curled gently around a carved token, the one you remember seeing in the long house. The wine lifts a corner of the wool, then lets it fall. No one touches him now, not out of fear, but out of completion. He is placed, he is honored, he is ready. The gifts surround him, the bowl, the socks, the comb, the feather, the sword. They do not shimmer or shine, but they glow in a different way, with use, with meaning. You step closer. Others do too, not to crowd, but to see. Not his face, but the whole of it, the arrangement, the offering. There is no crown, no jewels. No titles carved into the whole. Only the presence of a life lived completely, and the quiet of those who knew him. A raven circles above. Its wings do not flap. It glides. Somewhere in the trees, a dog barks once. Then silence. You hear the water. Always the water. The ship creaks. Not loud. Just enough to remind you that wood lives too, even when built into vessels. A man kneels and lights a lantern. The light reflects in the eyes of those watching. Another adjusts the placement of a blanket at the foot. A child lays a sprig of thyme on the deck beside the man's shoulder. No one asks her to. No one stops her. You exhale. The breath comes long, slow. He lies there like a mountain that has known weather. Not broken, not young, but true. The ship waits. The people wait. And all around, the sky begins to turn, from ash to ember. Section 14. Torches in the dark. The sky deepens, not fully night, not yet, but the kind of dusk where blue and black blur at the edges, and the first stars begin to show themselves, one by one. The villagers return with torches, long poles of pine, tips wrapped in cloth soaked with resin. They are not lit all at once. One flame starts at the far edge of the circle, then another, carried forward, then another, and soon, the gathering is ringed with light, not harsh, not searing, but steady. Golden halos in the growing dark, you are handed one. It feels heavier than it looks. The heat pulses up your arm, but does not burn. The fire sways slightly in the wind, casting long shadows across the sand and over the deck of the ship. He lies still, surrounded by his gifts, surrounded by his people. The torchlight dances on his features, turns the wool of his cloak to ember, turns the carved wood of the hole into something alive. Voices hush, steps still. A woman sings one final note, just one, and lets it fade. Now, the only sound is the crackle of fire. The torches are not held high, they are held with care, some near the ground, some pointed skyward, all trembling slightly in the fingers that grip them. Children do not cry, men do not speak, women do not stir, even the dogs sit down. The light is enough to see every face, every eye watching the same thing. The ship, the man, the moment, the wind dies. As if the world itself is waiting, a man steps forward, the one who carved the runes. He kneels, touches the bow of the ship, and breathes out. Then he dips his torch, and flame touches wood. Section 15. The fire catches slowly. The torch touches the edge of the ship, and nothing happens for a moment. Just a breath. Then, a curl of smoke. It rises like a whisper from the wood. The resin kindling sizzles. A single flame appears. Small, uncertain, alive. It licks the base of the hull, leans into the groove between two boards, then flickers outward. Another breath, another moment, then it spreads. The dry branches catch first, gathered beneath the center, tucked like kindling beneath memory. They do not roar, they glow. The flames move like hands, soft hands, warming, gathering. They reach the edges of the cloth. The wool smokes, the leather crackles. Still, no one speaks. You watch as the fire begins to bloom across the ship, not all at once, in slow petals, orange and gold, red and deep amber. It climbs the planks, it circles the gifts. It does not consume, not yet. It honors. The socks blacken. The carved fishbowl turns silver at the rim. The feathers curl inward like closing wings. He lies within it all, unmoving, peaceful. The cloak begins to smolder, then to lift, just slightly. In the rising heat, the boat glows from underneath. From within, it is not yet a pyre. It is a lantern. You feel warmth on your cheeks. It could be the fire. It could be tears. The villagers hold their torches lower now. One by one, they place them into the earth, and step back. The fire has taken its place. It no longer needs help. You close your eyes for a moment. Behind your lids, you still see the light. You hear the wood sigh. The gifts give up their shapes. The smoke rises, not harsh, not choking, like breath leaving a body, and the night, at last, begins to burn. Section 16. Smoke into stars. The smoke rises slow, not in columns, in waves. It curls like breath from a warm mouth on a winter morning. It gathers itself, rises in threads, and is caught by the sky. You watch it climb. Gray first, then silver, then black against the stars. And then, not black, not really, just the same color as deep night. The flames are steady now. The wood beneath the ship groans, shifts. Sparks leap upward like thoughts. You tilt your head back. And for a moment, it is hard to tell what is firelight and what is starlight. Somewhere behind you, someone is crying. Softly, not loud, just one long exhale that catches, then fades. No one moves to comfort, no one intrudes. Because in this moment, the fire comforts. The fire speaks, smoke moves past your face. You close your eyes and feel the heat behind your eyelids. You smell pine, wool, salt, ash. You smell memory. Above, the stars gather, not just a few. Hundreds, they appear slowly, as if drawn forward by the rising smoke, as if answering something ancient in the fire's voice. You look up, and for one heartbeat, you imagine that the smoke does not end, that it becomes the stars, that the man who lies burning below does not fall into darkness, but rises, joins the constellations, that he becomes part of the sky. A boy beside you murmurs, "He's there now." You glance down, he points upward, not to any star in particular, just to the whole of it. You nod? Yes, he is. Smoke into stars, ash into memory. You wrap your cloak tighter, you breathe slowly, and the night, a deep, vast, silent, holds everything. Section 15. The fire catches slowly. The torch touches the edge of the ship, and nothing happens for a moment. Just a breath. Then, a curl of smoke. It rises like a whisper from the wood. The resin kindling sizzles. A single flame appears. Small, uncertain, alive. It licks the base of the hull, leans into the groove between two boards, then flickers outward. Another breath, another moment, then it spreads. The dry branches catch first, gathered beneath the center, tucked like kindling beneath memory. They do not roar, they glow. The flames move like hands, soft hands, warming, gathering. They reach the edges of the cloth. The wool smokes, the leather crackles. Still, no one speaks. You watch as the fire begins to bloom across the ship, not all at once, in slow petals, orange and gold, red and deep amber. It climbs the planks, it circles the gifts. It does not consume, not yet. It honors. The socks blacken. The carved fishbowl turns silver at the rim. The feathers curl inward like closing wings. He lies within it all, unmoving, peaceful. The cloak begins to smolder, then to lift, just slightly. In the rising heat, the boat glows from underneath. From within, it is not yet a pyre. It is a lantern. You feel warmth on your cheeks. It could be the fire. It could be tears. The villagers hold their torches lower now. One by one, they place them into the earth, and step back. The fire has taken its place. It no longer needs help. You close your eyes for a moment. Behind your lids, you still see the light. You hear the wood sigh. The gifts give up their shapes. The smoke rises, not harsh, not choking, like breath leaving a body, and the night, at last, begins to burn. Section 18. The ship collapses. The flames reach higher now, louder. The soft breath of fire has become a voice, not screaming, not wild, but clear, a kind of language only wood knows. And it speaks it fully. The ship begins to change. The curve of the hull bows inward. The ribs of the boat, once so steady, groan and fold. The boards separate, not violently, with reluctance, as if the vessel is letting go of its shape the same way a person lets go of a memory, slowly, with care. The carved serpent head blackens at the nose. It leans forward, sighs into the smoke. Then it falls, not with a crash, with a hush. And still, no one moves, no one gasps. Because this, too, is part of it. The fire doesn't rush. It reveals. The side panel cracks. Ash swirls upward. The wool cloaks vanish into smoke. A gust of wind pushes through the trees. The sparks dance. And from where you stand, you see the keel begin to fold, like a spine, like a bowing figure, like a goodbye. Someone beside you places a hand on their heart, another lowers their head. The structure, what was once a ship, begins to drift in pieces, not across water, across flame. The center collapses inward. And the gifts, the bowl, the bell, the socks, the feather, rise in smoke. They do not fall, they lift. The fire burns hot, and you feel it, in your chest, in your throat, behind your eyes. But it is not pain, it is presence. The ship doesn't vanish all at once. It goes like a story told to many times, softer at the edges, harder to recall. The last beam shivers, then folds. And now there is only flame. No more wood, no more shape, only the memory of it. It lights the faces of the villagers. It flickers on the cheeks of the children. It glows in the eyes of the elder who first said his name. And still, no one speaks, because the fire is speaking. And you understand it, not in words, but in warmth. The ship has collapsed. But he has not fallen, he has been carried. Into the heat, into the sky, into the space where names become stories, and stories become stars. Section 19. The Silence After. There is no applause, no speech, no final drumbeat. Only breath, yours, theirs. The nights, the fire has thinned. It still burns, but lower now, red coals, whispering embers, and into that space, where there once was flame and wood and the body of a man, now there is only heat, light, and silence. A deep silence, the kind that feels not like absence, but completion. The villagers remain. No one rushes away. No one gathers their things. They just sit, or stand, or lean against one another. Some close their eyes. Some look to the stars. Some look nowhere at all. You sit on the same bench from earlier. The one near the pine. It is still cool. The bark smells of resin. Someone beside you places a hand on your shoulder. They don't speak. You don't look. But you feel it? And you understand. The silence is not empty. It is full. Full of every story not told aloud tonight. Every glance. Every gift. Every song held behind closed lips. You feel your chest rise and fall. You hear the coals shift. Somewhere, someone stirs the embers, not to stoke them, just to listen. You see the shapes of people in the dark, outlined by firelight, outlined by memory. The raven from earlier returns. It does not cry. It perches on a branch and watches, then lifts off again. You feel the moment pass, like tide, like smoke. Not gone, just beyond reach. A child coughs. Another hums a fragment of the song from before. A man pulls his cloak tighter. Then stillness returns. You wonder how long you've been sitting. You wonder how long the fire will burn. And then you stop wondering. Because none of it is measured now, not by clocks, not by time, only by memory, only by presence. The silence holds. And you let it, not forever, but for now. Until the first footstep is taken. Until the first voice speaks. Until someone, somewhere, decides it is morning again. And even then, the silence will not be broken. It will walk with you, soft, sacred, like ashes, like breath, like the promise of return. Section 20. You return through the trees. You rise, not because someone tells you, not because it's finished, but because your body knows. The fire is still glowing behind you. The coals pulse in the dark, but your feet have found direction. The forest waits. You step gently. The grass underfoot is damp with dew. The earth is soft. You pass the pine where you sat. Its bark still smells like smoke and sap. A lantern swings slowly on a low branch, flickering one last time before going dark. Others walk too, scattered, quiet. Not in lines, not in pairs, just people, moving through memory. You enter the trees, and they receive you. The branches above sway gently. The air is cool but kind. You feel your breath steady. Each step is soft. Each leaf seems to hush beneath your boots. Somewhere in the canopy, an owl stirs, not calling, just present. You pass the path you came by this morning. It looks different now, less like a trail, more like a threshold. The moonlight filters through the leaves. It catches on a spiderweb stretched between two twigs. You pause, it glimmers, you continue. Your hand brushes against bark, rough, living, and for a moment, you remember. The warmth of the torch, the hum of her song, the name spoken aloud, the hands that carried, the gifts laid one by one, the fire, the smoke, the stars, and all of it, remains. Not as weight, as warmth. You emerge from the trees. The fjord stretches ahead. Still, silver, No ships, no flame. Just reflection. You kneel, touch the water. It is cold, it is clean. You whisper something, not a word, just a sound. You don't need it to carry, you only need to let it go. Then you rise, pull your cloak tighter, and begin to walk, not toward a house, not toward a bed, just onward, the village behind you, the forest around you, the sky above you, and beneath it all, the story, still burning, quietly, within you. And now, my friend, let your eyes grow heavy. Let your breath slow, like the tide against the shore. The fire has burned, the name has been spoken, the ship has sailed, not across water, but through memory, through time, through stars. You were there, you saw it, you felt it, and now you carry it, not in burden, but in quiet warmth. So rest now, the night holds you. The story stays with you, close your eyes, let it drift. And when you wake, the fire will still be glowing. Somewhere deep, within you,